Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thank you very much for starting your Friday with us. We are going to begin this hour with the shocking end to the intense days-long manhunt in Rhode Island for the Brown University shooter. Law enforcement officials said yesterday that the suspect was found dead in a storage facility in New Hampshire, adding that he appeared to die from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
The discovery brought an end to a nearly week-long manhunt. It all began Saturday when a gunman killed 2 students and injured 9 others on the Ivy League campus. The suspect is Claudio Neves Valente, a Portuguese national seen in this photo. He's also now accused of killing a Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT professor, near Boston just days after the Rhode Island attack. Officials said it appeared the 2 attended the same university in Portugal. NBC News senior justice reporter Ryan Riley joins us now with more on this. Ryan, good morning. So we know authorities have been searching for this suspect for days, putting out photos of a person of interest. How did they finally end up tracking him down?
You know, a Reddit post actually played a really key role here when they were looking at the evidence, and that tip ended up leading to a car and something that that authorities were able to look into and ultimately locate this individual. You know, originally we had some initial reporting that they were looking into some potential links between the 2 various shootings, and now it's official. That's what authorities say, is that these 2 shootings were linked. The same person who carried out that Brown shooting was also killed the MIT professor, and they had a personal link, and that seems to be the overall story of this. Is this killing appears to have been driven by personal grievances by the alleged shooter here, who ultimately died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound, apparently at this storage facility.
Ryan, so we understand that there's this connection between the MIT professor and the suspect here going to that same university in Portugal. But what do we know about how the authorities connected the events together, the shooting at Brown to MIT?
Yeah, some of that research from that Reddit post that sort of went viral here, I think, is what was a key connector, especially the car. There's a rental car that was in both locations, and there is also the same sort of items of clothing. So this was truly, I think, sort of a crowdsourced sort of manhunt and individual tips that led to the ultimate arrest here, and those 2 shootings being linked.
What else are we learning about the suspect's background and also just his connection to Brown? Do we know what that is?
He was briefly enrolled there and ultimately sort of withdrew from the program. But the classes that he would have taken were in that building where the shooting ultimately took place. So that all seems to tie back to this idea that this was driven by personal grievances, his connection to the school, as well as his connection to this individual MIT professor who was separately killed after the initial Brown attack.
Ryan, it's interesting to hear you use the word crowdsource, like almost that this information was crowdsourced. That Reddit post was helpful, certainly for authorities. Police, though, they've also been asking for help from the public in finding a second person who they say was in proximity, was the language that they used, to this person, this suspect. Do we know if this person was in fact connected to him? Do we have any other information here if law enforcement figured out who this was?
Yeah, I think that they have the indications is that this was driven by this one individual shooter, but that the tips might have been helpful in figuring out the identity of that. It seems as though this was sort of a one-man operation, though, and that's typically how many of these. Typically, you know, whenever you hear these reports of a second shooter and that sort of thing, those in the end they don't end up washing out. Typically, most of these sort of attacks are typically driven by lone wolves acting on their own. It's very rare that you actually have sort of a coordinated effort between multiple parties in these deadly sort of attacks.
All right, Ryan Riley, a lot to cover this morning. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
For more analysis on this investigation, let's bring in NBC News law enforcement analyst Jim Kavanaugh. Jim, good morning. Thanks for being with us as always. Finding a suspect dead, of course, makes it a lot more complicated to figure out a motive. We did hear from Ryan, though, some of these connections, at least. Officials say the suspect attended Brown for 1 year. That was over 20 years ago, though, and then went to the same university as the killed MIT professor in Portugal. What other connections or information will authorities be looking for, and how will they work to sort of nail down a motive?
Well, I think the motive is shouting out of this right now, Savannah, and I think they'll uncover this as they, go through his devices and talk to his people close to him. It's going to be revenge. He wants revenge. The first mass killing is revenge on Brown University. He attended that university, and he probably, according to the chancellor, was in that hall where the shooting happened, because that's where the physics classes were, and that's the only classes he took. So he waited for the students to get in there. As the witness said, he was in there 2 hours before in the bathroom. He was casing the place. He wanted the crowd in there, and he wanted his revenge on Brown. And secondly, he had a personal direct connection to the MIT professor from Portugal, where they'd attended the same college and studied physics, and maybe even very close there. We don't know exactly how close. But anyway, these are motives for revenge. It's not terrorism. It's not greed. He's not trying to escape anything. It's revenge, and he planned it and plotted it and wanted to make sure he did it. Now, whether or not he was going to kill himself all along, that could be. Suicide could run through it. But he certainly got the people he wanted. And the public broke the case. This one citizen who saw the car and confronted him in the bathroom prior to the shooting, what are you doing here? And I would just say, Savannah, that the aha moment for the investigators and commanders would be when they saw that photograph that you just had up of him at the rental car place. Because you got the tip from the citizen, you tracked the car to a couple of places, you're not sure, it's a Florida tag, it's switching tags, and then you go to the rental car place and you get the video, and there's the picture. And there he's wearing the jacket, the same jacket that we saw on the video of the suspect they believe they had walking the streets of Brown. So you're the commanders, you're the investigators. When you see that picture, you're saying, okay, this looks like our guy.
So, Jim, with so many unanswered questions here, where do you see the investigation going next?
They want to wrap it up for the families. They want to wrap it up. They want to get every answer they can get. And, of course, always to prevent the next shooting, Joe. Anything you can glean about his behavior, where he could have been interrupted before. FBI will be sweeping those electronic devices. The detectives are going to be interviewing his families. What a great job by Providence PD detectives, state police detectives, and all the agents from all the agencies involved are dropping all these little things in there. ATF's going to be tracing those guns, checking on the ballistic signatures. I'm sure IRS agents helped them with financial records, maybe to find a storage facility. HSI, because he had, was here from another country, would have the immigration issues. They all worked together, got it going, and they solved the case. So it was great work. Our heart breaks for those communities up there, but in the end, citizens and police can always solve the case.
Jim, thank you very much. I appreciate your time as always.
Today is the deadline for the Department of Justice to release all of its files on the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
It comes one day after Democratic members on the House Oversight Committee released a new batch of more than 60 photos they received from Epstein's estate. Many show the financier posing with major figures from the world of politics, business, and entertainment.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with the latest on this. So, Julie, walk us through what is expected to happen today. How many documents could be released, and what are lawmakers hearing ahead of the release about what's actually in them?
Hey, good morning, Savannah and Joe. I think it's important to remember that this is all required by law. Congress passed the Epstein Transparency Act last month. It requires the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, to release all documents concerning Jeffrey Epstein's life and death investigation into his multi-year crime spree, every interaction that he had with his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, and they're required to do it by end of day today. Thomas Massie, who is one of the lead authors of that bill, a Republican, released quite a lengthy video yesterday walking through all the steps of what the public should expect to see, because remember, these documents not only will be released to Congress, they should be published by law so the public can search and access it very easily. Take a listen to what he said.
The victim's lawyers have been in contact with me, and collectively they know there are at least 20 names of men who are accused of sex crimes in the possession of the FBI.
So what Massey said is there are at least 20 men that he expects to be named in this trove of documents that will be released or should be released by the DOJ. If any names are missing, he says, then he knows that the government has not complied with this law and has not released all of the documents.
Julie, tell us what we did see in the batch of photos that were released yesterday. Who's in them?
Yeah, so this is different than what the DOJ is expected to release. Remember, the House Oversight Committee is conducting a separate investigation. You see some of those photos on your screen. This comes from the Jeffrey Epstein estate. There was a subpoena issued over the summer for these documents. They've been receiving them pretty much every single month, sometimes week by week. Some of the photos, as you see on your screen, show what appears to be a girl or a young woman with passages from the book Lolita written around her, on her feet, on her spine, on her neck. Lolita, as you know, was about a man who had an obsession with a 12-year-old girl and had sexually abused her. There were other photos that released as part of the 68 photos, 95,000 total that were received, though, by the committee. Democrats releasing some of them. That interaction that you see on your screen was apparently a message in which somebody was trying to communicate about potentially sending in girls from overseas. There were documents as well that were found, identifications from Russia, from Ukraine, from other countries. So it just shows you the sprawling nature of Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplices' crimes.
Julie, we know President Trump has not been accused of any wrongdoing in connection with Epstein, but what are lawmakers on both sides of the aisle saying about the release that we're expecting today?
Well, as you recall, it was President Trump on the campaign trail who said over and over again that the government has to be transparent when it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein issue. What Democrats, including on the Oversight Committee, have been trying to highlight is that perhaps the president has something to hide, since he did have a personal relationship and a friendship with Jeffrey Epstein at some point decades ago. Now, the president has not been implicated in any wrongdoing, but we are hearing some Republicans come to his defense. And on the other side, Democrats who essentially accuse him of a cover-up in that his Department of Justice did not release these documents sooner. Take a listen to what we heard from both of them.
I feel like in a way that it was used as a political smear campaign.
The law is very clear. There are going to be consequences, not just for the Attorney General, but for anyone who's not complying.
Now, what they're talking about, of course, and that was Ro Khanna, who is another author of that bill, is that if the DOJ, if the AG are trying to protect the president or anybody else in any way, that they will know. Because, of course, what they have compelled the DOJ to do by passing this law near unanimously in Congress, the president signing it again, is that they have to release all of these files. It could be hundreds of thousands of pages. It could be men implicated in this, other people implicated that might have not done any wrongdoing, but the public deserves to see it, and that's exactly the point that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey have been making.
All right, we'll see what happens. Julie Sirkin, thank you so much. Now, the U.S. version of TikTok officially is becoming majority owned by American investors. According to a memo obtained by NBC News yesterday, the app's parent company, ByteDance, has signed binding agreements to create a joint venture for the app here in the U.S. It was part of a deal with the Trump administration. So Savannah's going to help us break this down. So first of all, we know this has been a long time coming, but what do we know about these American investors?
So many years of drama, right? So we have a little bit of a picture here. First, we're hearing that 50% of this is going to be this consortium of sort of like major investors. What we know so far is 15% each for Oracle, Silver Lake, MGX. Those are all names that we've heard around TikTok, some of whom already existing investors in the company, or in the case of Oracle, even fully doing business with the company by maintaining that U.S. user data, even for years prior to a lot of this drama going on. Then we still have some questions because 30-ish%, they say, is going to be affiliates of existing investors of ByteDance. Now, that is that Chinese parent company where all these concerns came from, the national security concern of it being owned primarily by a Chinese company. 19.1%, that's right under that legal threshold of 20%, is going to be retained by ByteDance. So this is not a total sale, but it's getting some of these other investors in there.
We know the major concern for Congress was Chinese influence, and then also just what happens to the personal data of everyone who is using this. How will this deal address those concerns specifically?
Yeah, so we have questions here because we don't know who these partners are going to be, but it was explicitly outlined that there's essentially going to be an audit. They even used that word in this memo. We learned all of this because we were able to obtain a memo that was sent to TikTok employees yesterday by its CEO, and it outlined saying there's essentially going to be like a safety audit, a security audit, a data audit, make sure that we are in compliance with this national security element. And it was by a, quote, trusted security partner. Who is that partner? Where is that partner based? Questions that we have, certainly. They then go on to say that once the sale is completed, which, by the way, it says it's going going to happen by January 22nd, so pretty quickly, that Oracle will take over that management of any national security concerns, which is sort of how it's been running thus far anyway.
The users, probably the biggest question they have is how is this going to change how they use the app? I mean, could the algorithms change because we don't see Chinese influence anymore?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So, like, on the one hand, I would say probably, and on the other hand, I would say maybe not. Let me explain why. One of the things that was outlined here is that the algorithm will be retrained on U.S. user data. Now, if you hear algorithm and retraining in the same sentence, right, you think, is the algorithm going to change then? Will what's recommended to you be different because they are messing with it at all? On the other hand, the whole point of this and them doing what they're outlining that they say they're going to do, and if it does get approved, the whole idea here is that they are making it compliant with the law, and therefore that means business as usual. They certainly do not want this to feel like a change to users in the U.S. Definitely questions about how any type of changing the algorithm could feel for users.
We'll see how users interpret it once it becomes official.
Exactly.
They'll be like, wait, this feels different. Or
right,
it's exactly
and it's like,
the same.
okay, maybe we're done talking about this. We'll see.
Perhaps. We'll see. You can rest now for a little bit. All right.
Well, the backlash is growing over a move by the board of the Kennedy Center, a board that was handpicked by President Trump. They voted yesterday to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center. But Democratic lawmakers say the change can't happen without an act of Congress. Another headline here, in an exclusive phone interview with NBC News, President Trump refused to rule out war with Venezuela. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr has the latest.
Savannah, the move to rename the iconic arts institution is prompting serious legal questions, with Kennedy family members likening it to trying to change the name of the Lincoln Memorial. The Trump Kennedy Center, that's the name now listed on the website for the iconic performing arts center in the nation's capital.
I was honored by it.
After the White House says the board that President Trump handpicked voted unanimously to rename the memorial.
The board is a very distinguished board.
The president ousted most of the previous board members, and the new ones installed him as chairman after he criticized the Kennedy Center's programming as too liberal, while also launching $250 million worth of congressionally authorized renovations.
We saved the building. The building was in such bad shape, both physically, financially, and every other way.
Democrats, though, say changing the name established by Congress would need congressional action. Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, an ex officio board member, says the name-changing vote was not unanimous and that she tried to object.
I was muted, and as I continued to try to unmute to ask questions and voice my opposition to this, I received a note saying that I would not be unmuted.
A series of Kennedy family members voicing their opposition, including JFK's grandson, who's running for Congress in New York, and called the move branding over policy.
It does nothing for families choosing between prescription drugs and paying their rent.
One of JFK's grandnephews, former Democratic Congressman Joe Kennedy, writing, quote, "The Kennedy Center is a living memorial to a fallen president and named for President Kennedy by federal law. It can no sooner be renamed than can someone rename the Lincoln Memorial." We also want to note that in an exclusive phone interview with NBC's Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker, President Trump did not rule out war with Venezuela amid escalating tensions with the country's authoritarian leader and a U.S. military buildup around Venezuela. The president's admission on not ruling out war is significant, given his long-running promises to end and not start military conflicts. Savannah?
Alice, thank you.
An investigation is underway in North Carolina after former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his family were killed in a plane crash. The plane had just taken off yesterday and was circling back to the airport trying to land when it crashed. Now, at this point, it's unclear what might have caused the crash. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park has the details.
7 people are dead after a fiery plane crash in North Carolina, including NASCAR star Greg Biffle, his wife, and 2 children.
Approximately 10:15 a.m., we got a report of a corporate jet that crashed off the end of the runway on the east end.
Take a look at the thick black smoke billowing from the Cessna business jet shortly after it crashed at Statesville Regional Airport.
It looked like a bomb going off. It just black smoke everywhere.
Joshua Green says he was golfing with friends nearby when he saw a plane flying dangerously low.
All we saw from our point of view was the plane nosedive into the ground a mushroom-like explosion, and we felt the heat. We were probably within 100 yards of the crash.
After calling 911, he shot this video.
It's flying from this way. It was way too low. Huge explosion. I was terrified. I felt my heart drop out of my body.
The plane took off in drizzly and foggy conditions, bound for Sarasota. Flight tracking data shows it turning around not long after.
Here comes Biffle. Greg Biffle is back to the lead.
Biffle, known as the Biff, had a long career with NASCAR, winning 19 Cup Series races and earning a nomination for the Hall of Fame. He's also an experienced pilot, posting this photo of himself flying the same plane back in September. The caption, "Excited to get back to flying again." When Hurricane Helene devastated western North Carolina last year, Biffle flew helicopter missions to rescue stranded residents and fly in supplies.
We were just people helping people.
Dennis Dutton, his son Jack, and Craig Wadsworth were also confirmed dead. The victims' families releasing a statement calling Greg and his wife Christina devoted parents and active philanthropists, remembering their daughter Emma as a kind soul and son Ryder as active, curious, and infinitely joyful. Kathy Park, NBC News.
Let's get you to weather now. I can attest there's some wet and windy weather on the East Coast getting in this morning. Whew. Right as we head into the weekend, let's get a closer look with what you can expect with your morning News Now forecast.
Angie Lassman's here. Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Today is problematic for a couple of reasons. We've got some really heavy rain working through parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast and kind of working its way to the east, but it's also quite windy. So an umbrella going to be a little difficult for you here as you get out the door and make your commute to wherever you're going this morning. Here's the deal as far as what you can expect as the day goes on. Notice that system will push through, but between now and really the evening hours, we've got some heavy rain. We've got the potential for some thunderstorms, fairly rare during this time of year, of course, but we've got all that instability in the air, and that's going to fire up likely some thunderstorms as we get through the late morning, early afternoon hours. And then those strong winds, they're going to be sticking with us. 50, 60 mile per hour gusts are going to be possible. Notice we'll also see some additional lake effect snow happening. As we gear up for tomorrow, we'll see this kind of quicker system move across the Great Lakes. And you guessed it, that triggers some more of that snow, specifically lake effect snow we'll watch for your Saturday. The winds alerts, they span about 70 million people right now. So you can see up and down parts of the Northeast and stretching through the Appalachians. We've got New York, Boston included in there, and 40, 50 plus mile per hour gusts are what we're going to expect. Nantucket, notice that peak gust coming in through tonight, at least into those low 60s. Now, one other thing is going to happen as this system moves through. If you've gone outside in the Northeast over the past 12 hours or so, you've thought, oh, it doesn't feel too bad out there, especially not compared to where we were about a week ago at this time. But here's our temperature at 7 a.m. 56 degrees in New York, 59 in Philadelphia, 59 in Washington, D.C. That front is going to come through. We're going to see the wind switch. So instead of that warm air coming up from the south, we're actually going to see a Arctic blast work through the region, guys, and we could see a 20-degree temperature drop in a matter of 12 hours. So we're going to be, as we get into the evening hours tonight, into the 30s. It will not feel balmy. It will not feel mild across the Northeast. It's going to be a big difference in what you're feeling right now as you get out the door. So prepare for that along with the rain and the wind, too.
So we get the cold winter weather, just the snow's gone now.
Yes, exactly. I know.
Yeah, why can't it be cold?
I have the same complaints. Mother Nature's inbox is full.
Winter heavy rain is just like,
I know. I would rather it be heavy snow or sunny.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're all on the same page
We're
here.
not blaming you, I guess. Thanks, Angie.
You got it.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.